The night was quiet, save for the occasional honk of a distant car and the rustling of trees outside the window. 5 friends sat in a dimly lit dorm room, their faces illuminated by the glow of their screens. A half-eaten pizza lay forgotten on the coffee table as they scrolled through a forum dedicated to urban legends and deep web mysteries. "Check this out," Mark said, turning his laptop toward the group. "Some guy here claims he found an app that lets you talk to the dead." Lisa rolled her eyes. "Another stupid ghost app? Bet it's just a bunch of random responses programmed to spook people." "No, listen," Mark insisted. "The guy says he downloaded it, and at first it seemed fake. But then it started knowing things. Things it shouldn't know. He tried deleting it, but it kept reinstalling itself. A week later, he stopped posting. A silence settled over the group. Nick, the self-proclaimed tech expert, leaned over and squinted at the screen. "The link's still alive. Should I download it?" Rachel hesitated. "That sounds like a virus." "Or a scam," Lisa added. But curiosity was already winning over common sense. Mark, Nick, and Jason exchanged looks before Nick clicked the link. A black screen with white text popped up. Ghost.exe wants to install. "Proceed?" Nick pressed yes. His phone screen flickered for a second before returning to normal. Well, that was anticlimactic. A new app icon appeared on his home screen, a simple gray eye with a single crack running through it. "Okay," Rachel muttered, leaning closer. "Open it." Nick tapped the icon. The screen went black, then a distorted whisper crackled through the speaker. "Who is there?" Lisa snorted. "Classic." "Say something." Nick cleared his throat. Can you hear me?" The screen remained blank for a few moments before the words appeared in bold red letters. "Yes, I see you." A shiver ran down Rachel's spine. "Okay, that's creepy," Jason grinned. "Let me try." He grabbed his phone. "What's my name?" The screen flickered again. The response came almost instantly. "Jason Miller." Jason paled. "Dude, how?" "Probably just pulling data from your phone," Nick said quickly, though his own voice wavered. "Not hard to do." Lisa took her phone and opened the app as well. "Let's see how smart this thing really is. What did I have for breakfast?" The screen remained still for several seconds. Then, the response. "Nothing. You skipped breakfast." Lisa's smirk faded. "Okay, what the hell? I didn't even text that to anyone." "All right, enough of this," Rachel said, unnerved. "Let's just delete it." Nick nodded and pressed down on the app icon, ready to uninstall it. But the moment his finger hovered over delete, the phone screen went black. When it turned back on, a new message was waiting for him. "You can't get rid of me." A cold silence settled over the room. Then, their phone speakers crackled again, emitting a low, distorted whisper. Lisa gasped. That sounded like it came from inside the room. Jason's hands were shaking as he held up his phone. "Guys, it just turned on my front camera." Nick looked down at his own screen. The app had opened his camera too, but something was wrong. There were 6 figures in the frame. Only 5 of them were in the room. The night grew heavier as fear settled in the room. Lisa, Jason, Rachel, Mark, and Nick stared at their screens, unwilling to believe what they had just seen. Their reflections stared back at them, but an extra shadow loomed in each of their front cameras, something shifting, something watching. "Okay, this isn't funny anymore," Lisa whispered, her voice trembling. Jason was the first to react. He locked his phone and tossed it onto the couch, his breath coming in shallow gasps. "It's just a glitch. A really messed up prank." Rachel shook her head. Then explain how it knew about Lisa skipping breakfast. Nick swallowed hard, his fingers moving quickly across his keyboard. There's got to be something online about this app. As he searched, the lights flickered. The air in the room grew stale, thick with an unseen presence. The temperature dropped, and Mark could see his own breath fogging up in front of him. Then, a notification pinged from Jason's phone. His face drained of color as he hesitantly reached for it. The screen glowed with a new message. "Hello, Jason? I'm coming." His phone screen cracked from the inside. "Holy—" Jason threw the device across the room as smoke curled from its shattered display. Then the door slammed shut. Rachel screamed as the lights flickered violently, shadows stretching unnaturally across the walls. The whispering returned, louder now, as though something was breathing just over their shoulders. Nick's laptop screen glitched, the forum post refreshing itself before flashing a final warning. Do not respond to it. Do not speak to it. Do not let it in. Too late. A violent gust of wind whipped through the room, sending papers flying. The air hummed with electricity as Jason suddenly gasped, his body jerking as if an invisible force had seized him. "Jason!" Mark lunged toward him, but Jason's eyes rolled back, his limbs convulsing. A horrifying gurgling sound escaped his throat as his phone's cracked screen lit up again. One final message appeared. "Goodbye, Jason!" Jason let out a strangled cry before his body collapsed onto the floor. His phone burst into flames. The lights cut out entirely, plunging them into darkness. Silence. Then a single notification sound echoed through the pitch-black room. Lisa's phone screen flickered to life. A new message. "You're next." The moment Lisa's screen lit up with those two ominous words, the air in the room seemed to thicken. A metallic scent filled their nostrils, blood, or something worse. Nick grabbed Lisa's wrist and yanked the phone from her hand, staring at the glowing screen with a mixture of horror and disbelief. "We have to get out of here," Rachel whispered, glancing toward the door, which remained tightly shut. "Now." Mark took a shaky step forward and reached for the doorknob. The moment his fingers brushed the metal, a searing pain shot through his arm, sending him sprawling back onto the floor. His palm was burned, the imprint of a charred handprint seared into his skin. It won't let us leave," he gasped, cradling his injured hand. Lisa snatched her phone back and frantically tried turning it off. The screen remained lit, flickering wildly. The app had taken over. A new message appeared. "You can't escape. I see you. I see all of you." Then the phone's speaker crackled and an inhuman whisper echoed through the room. "I'm already here." A shadow moved. The darkness around them shifted. Then the screaming began. The moment the screaming began, the walls of the room seemed to pulse as if the entire dormitory was breathing. Shadows twisted unnaturally along the ceiling, moving with purpose, circling the group like hungry predators. Nick grabbed Rachel's hand, pulling her away from the center of the room. "Stay together!" he shouted, but his voice barely carried over the static that now filled the air. The app on their phones had begun typing on its own, each screen displaying a different message. "Lisa! Run! Mark! Too late! Nick! Look behind you!" A chill ran down Nick's spine, but he didn't dare turn around. Instead, he forced himself forward, dragging Rachel with him toward the dorm door. Mark was ahead, clawing at the handle, but the door wouldn't budge. It was as if something alive was pressing against the other side. Lisa let out a strangled sob. "Jason's body, it's moving." Rachel turned, and what she saw nearly made her collapse. Jason's corpse, still sprawled on the floor where it had fallen, twitched. His arms jerked unnaturally, his fingers curling and stretching. his head lolled to the side, his eyes still clouded with death. But his mouth, it was smiling. Then, in a voice that was no longer his own, Jason spoke. "I told you." His lips moved, but the sound that came out was a chorus of voices, layered and distorted. "You should never have downloaded it." Nick grabbed a chair and hurled it at the dorm window. Glass shattered, but instead of the outside world, the void beyond was black. Endless, swirling. Mark backed away from the window. "What the hell is that? Where's the street?" Jason's corpse twitched again. "You don't exist outside this room anymore. The moment you let me in, you let everything else in too." Lisa screamed and slammed her phone against the wall, the screen shattering into pieces. For a brief moment, the shadows flickered as if weakened. But then her phone reassembled itself right before their eyes, glowing bright with a new message. "Nice try." Nick's fingers trembled as he scrolled through his settings, trying desperately to factory reset his phone. "We have to destroy the app." "You can't." Jason's voice was softer now, almost mocking. "It's already part of you." Lisa's breath hitched. "What do you mean?" Jason's eyes rolled back into his skull as his body convulsed violently. Then, one by one, their phones vibrated with a new notification. Nick dared to look at his screen. A countdown. 5 o'clock. 4:59. 4:58. Rachel sobbed. "What happens when it reaches 0? Jason's body collapsed into a heap, his smile lingering even in death. "You don't want to know." Mark grabbed Rachel's shoulders, shaking her. "We need to do something. If we don't delete it, we're dead." Nick's mind raced. "If we can't delete it, maybe we can trap it. A virus, a fail-safe, something to override the program." Lisa wiped her tears and steadied her breath. "You said it came from the deep web, right? That means it's connected to a host. If we kill the source, maybe we kill the app." Nick's fingers flew over his keyboard. "Then let's find the damn source before time runs out." Outside, the void pressed against the shattered window, and something began to crawl through. The countdown continued to tick away on their screens. 4:30, 4:29. Nick's fingers moved furiously across his keyboard as he accessed the deep web, searching for traces of the app's origin. His breathing was shallow, sweat forming at his temple. "Come on! Come on! There has to be a way to trace it." Lisa, standing by the shattered window, barely dared to glance at the shifting void beyond. "Hurry, Nick! That thing, it's coming through!" Rachel sobbed, clutching Mark's arm. "What if we can't stop it? What if we're already dead?" "No," Mark snapped, shaking her. "Don't say that. We're alive. We fight." Nick finally found something, a discussion thread buried deep in an obscure forum. The title sent chills down his spine. Ghost.exe, the code that should never exist. He clicked the thread. It was filled with warnings, desperate pleas from people who had encountered the app before. Do not download it. It doesn't just watch you, it consumes you. If the countdown reaches 0, you won't just die. You'll become part of it. Then, at the bottom of the thread, a single reply from an anonymous user. Only one way to kill it. Destroy the server. Follow the code. A code string was attached, a mess of alphanumeric characters and symbols. Nick copied it, pasting it into his decryption program. His heart pounded. Lisa screamed, "Nick, we don't have time!" 2:30. The thing crawling from the void had a form now. No longer just shadows, but something grotesque shifting between faces. Jason's face, then Lisa's, then something inhuman. Nick forced his hands to stay steady. He traced the IP address linked to the source. The app wasn't just hosted on a server. It was hosted on multiple servers. "Damn it!" he shouted. It's not just one source. It's been spread across the deep web like a virus, Rachel sobbed. Then we're screwed. No, Nick growled, determination surging through him. If I can infect the network, plant a loop that turns the code against itself, I might be able to corrupt it. 1:30. The air in the room grew dense, as if reality itself was collapsing. The thing had almost fully emerged. It grinned at them, the rows of its teeth stretching impossibly wide. Time's almost up, it hissed. Nick entered the override command. The code began eating into the network like a worm, replicating, spreading, a virus to kill a virus. 0:30. Lisa held on to Rachel, whispering prayers. Mark clutched a shard of broken glass like a weapon, though they all knew it was useless. 0:10. The thing lunged toward them. Nick hit enter. The screens flashed white. A deafening shriek filled the room, not from their phones, but from inside their heads. The entity convulsed, its form glitching, flickering in and out of existence. The app began deleting itself. The countdown froze at 001. Then, silence. The void beyond the window vanished. The walls stopped pulsing. The air grew still. Their phones powered off simultaneously. Rachel gasped, tears streaming down her face. Did we win? Nick's hands shook as he picked up his phone. He pressed the power button. Nothing happened. Lisa dared to step forward, peering at where Jason's body had been. It was gone. No blood, no sign of struggle, just gone. Mark's voice was hoarse. It's over? Nick exhaled slowly. Yeah, I think so. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Lisa reached for the door. This time, it opened without resistance. Outside, the world was normal. Streetlights, cars, the distant chatter of students walking by as if nothing had happened. Rachel let out a broken laugh. We're okay. We made it. One by one, they stepped out, leaving the nightmare behind. Nick was the last to go. He hesitated, staring at his blank phone screen before slipping it into his pocket. Then, he followed the others. A week later, Nick sat alone in his dorm, staring at his laptop screen. He had spent days combing through every record of Ghost.exe, making sure no remnants remained. Nothing. It was wiped clean. But as he closed his laptop, a soft vibration rattled his desk. His phone had powered back on. One notification appeared on the screen. Ghost.exe has been reinstalled. A whisper filled the room. I see you.